Good morning, everyone, and welcome to just a minute, please. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Nigeria Open Forum, organized by the Nigeria Internet Governance Forum. On behalf of the Nigerian Internet Governance Forum, I will be moderating this session on digital literacy as a precondition for achieving universal access. My name is Dr. Ibiso Kingsley George from the Nigerian Communications Commission. With me today, we will have the DG NITDA, Mr. Kashifo Inuwa Abdullahi, to make a lead presentation, after which he will give some interventions, and the rest of the panelists will also make comments. Before we commence, we have some dignitaries with us. We have here with us the Senate Committee Chairman on the Chairman Senate Committee on Cybersecurity and ICT, Senator Shuaibu Afolabi Salisu. He will make an intervention, and we also have the House Committee Chair on ICT and Cybersecurity, Honorable Adedeji Stanley Olajide. We would like them to just give us some encouragement before we proceed with the session. Thank you.
Which microphone is he going to use? Where is he going to talk? Hello?
We can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, good morning, all. I'm extremely delighted to be here and to convey the goodwill and best wishes of the Nigerian Senate Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity. It is particularly interesting that we're talking about digital literacy as a precondition for universal AU, and there, this topic is relevant, and that the fact that Nigeria is discussing this at a UN global event on IGF even makes it more interesting. For so long, Nigeria has been known for our natural resources. After all, our oil powers the global economy. But in recent times, Nigeria is also known for the skills and expertise of the citizens. We gave the world something to share about in terms of our Nollywood, in terms of our movies. Out of every 10 fintech from Africa, 7 are from Nigeria, and our financial institutions all over, not just Africa, but globally. Now we're talking about digital literacy, we're talking about digital economy. We're a country of over 250 million people, 70% of which are youth. This puts us in a vantage position to leverage the powers of technology, not only for development of our country, but to also be a leading member of the international community. Therefore, I'd like to encourage us to have these conversations and to also recognize that much as the government is putting together a number of initiatives for digital literacy, we need to also get the private sector to come with initiatives that will leverage our local languages, that will leverage the connectivity and other programs that are being in place to ensure that the Nigerian citizens are digitally literate. As we conclude, let me remind us a line of our national anthem. O God of creation, help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. We can as well adapt that O God of digital technology, help us to build a digitally inclusive Nigeria where no citizens is digitally excluded. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator. We will now have an intervention from the Chairman, House Committee on Cybersecurity, ICT and Cybersecurity, Honorable Adedeji Stanley Olajide. Thank you.
Very good morning to you all. I remain Honorable Adedeji Stanley Olajide. I represent Oyo State in the House of Representatives of the National Assembly. I bring you warm greetings. I think when we're talking about digital literacy, it's all about how do we bring technology close and close the gap. The digital divide in Nigeria, it's so wide, and all across Africa actually, is not only Nigeria. So how do we bridge this gap? And I believe with the discourse that we're having in this forum, we can do just that. We understand technology is here to stay. Nigeria has adopted technology. We'll continue to do the best we can. We'll continue to make all the right laws to make sure that all of our citizens, that nobody, because we still have a huge amount of our population living in the rural area. And in order for us to close the divide, digital literacy must be promoted. Again, I wish us to have fruitful deliberation, and inshallah, Nigeria will be great to the very, very best of our nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. On that note, I'd like to call the Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, popularly known as NITDA, to give us his presentation. Mr. Abdullahi is a technocrat with substantial experience in growth management, policy and strategy formulation, IT governance and government relations, talent development, financial regulation, and digital transformation. We're clearly going to hear from an expert today on the Digital Literacy for All project, which is a pet project of NITDA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. The Chairman, Senate Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity, the Chairman, House Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity, distinguished guests, good morning. In a world where digital is a lifestyle, we can never exaggerate the importance of digital literacy, because we all need to develop our digital fluency to navigate the world we live today. So in Nigeria, we started our journey very early to digital literacy. In 2021, we developed our national IT policy, and the same year in April, NITDA was established to implement the national IT policy. In 2027, NITDA Act was passed into law, and the policy main objective was to get Nigerians to use IT, because as of 2021, less than 500,000 Nigerians had access to computer, and ICT was contributing less than 0.05% to our GDP. In 2012, a new policy was developed, which is focused more on ICT, not just IT, so that people can start using technology not just for their day-to-day activities, but even to communicate between government officials, government to citizens, and private to government. Then in 2019, a new policy was developed, the National Digital Economy Policy, which was a major shift from just getting people to use technology, but getting people to use technology for economic activities. Then NITDA developed the strategic roadmap and action plan in 2021. And in 2023, renewed hope, the Mr. President, on assuming duty, he made it clear that economic diversification and inclusivity are paramount to his administration's renewed hope agenda. So the president outlined 8 key priorities to achieve this vision, with priority number 7 specifically focused on accelerating diversification through industrialization, digitization, creative art, innovation, and manufacturing, which has a key focus on digital transformation. Then the Ministry of Communications, Innovation, and Digital Economy developed a blueprint with a focus on accelerating our collective prosperity through technological efficiency. Then at NIDA, we developed our strategic roadmap and action plan, SRAP 2.0. So these are Mr. President's renewed hope agenda, the 8 points. If you look at them, they all focus on reforming the country. And today we live in a world where every organization is a tech organization. No organization today that do not use IT. And every industry is becoming digital today. Therefore, digital can help Mr. President to achieve the 8-point areas. Then the ministry blueprint has 5 pillars, with knowledge as the first pillar, because knowledge is the foundation upon which countries build robust and sustainable economy. Then at NIDA, our strategic roadmap and action plan has 8 strategic pillars. The first one is to foster digital literacy and cultivate talent, because digital literacy is something that we must give priority in this era. Everything we do is about digital. Therefore, we need to develop our digital fluency, and we need to get all our citizens to be able to use technology safely and responsibly. The second pillar is about building a robust technology research ecosystem, because digital literacy and talents are quick wins. But for the future, we need to invest in deep tech research, because according to Conferry, by 2030, there would be 85 million talent deficit globally, which if left unaddressed could result to 8.5 trillion US dollars in unrealized annual revenue. So Nigeria and Africa, we can position ourselves as a global talent net exporter, because most of the part of the world are suffering from aging, while we have a very young and digitally native population. Then the third pillar is about promoting inclusive access to digital services and infrastructure. Therefore, this also aligns with Mr. President's priority on inclusivity. We need to get every Nigerian to have access to digital devices and services. Sorry, that's the fourth pillar. The third one is on strengthening policy implementation and legal framework, because we need to enable the playing field for our citizens to build both the digital literacy content and digital offerings that will digitize Nigeria. Then we have a pillar also on cybersecurity and digital trust, because as we digitize, we need to also build confidence in our citizens to use the technology. Then we have a pillar on nurturing innovative and entrepreneurial ecosystem. After training people, they need to be able to come up with services that will help Nigeria build its own digital offering and achieve our digital sovereignty as well. Then we have a pillar on strategic partnership and collaboration, because we believe no one succeeds in isolation. We need to work as an ecosystem to achieve our vision of making Nigeria a digitally empowered nation, fostering inclusive economic growth through technological innovation. Then we also have a pillar on creating an agile workforce and organizational culture that everybody should be able to transform. How can we come up with a job evolution within our organization, within government, that can help people to be ready for the future work? Because we have this fear that technology is going to replace or displace us. But I don't think technology or AI or any technology we think of will replace us as a human. But it will replace the skills we have and the processes we follow to do our work today. So therefore, we need to learn, relearn, and unlearn how we do things before. If you want to download the strategic roadmap and action plan, you can scan the QR code to get it online, because it is a comprehensive document that helps us to orchestrate our digital journey. So based on the first pillar of our strategic roadmap and action plan, which focuses on fostering digital literacy and cultivating talent, we developed the National Digital Literacy Framework with an ambitious target of achieving 95% digital literacy by 2030. And it has 5 objectives. The first one is universal access. We want every Nigerian to have access to digital literacy and skills. Then skills development. We want to orchestrate the journey of our digital literacy, because it's not something you can build at once, and therefore we look at how can we embed it into our formal education. We have a different proficiency level. What someone in primary school, secondary school can learn is different from what someone in tertiary institutions need to learn. And also, the digitally literate population's need is different from the digital migrant, because for them, they have the augmentative capability. They can easily use technology without anybody taking them through how to use it. But what they need to build is the attitude of using the technology. Then we also have objective about inclusive participation, gender, even people with special needs. We need to carry everyone along. Then we have objective about getting our workforce ready for the future of work. Then we have the local content creation. We don't want to rely on content created for other countries. We have our unique value propositions and need. Therefore, there is a need to build a custom-made content for our needs in country. This covers even the language barriers. We need to build content using our local languages as well. So you can also get the copy of the National Digital Literacy Framework by scanning the QR code. The Digital Literacy Framework has 6 competency areas and 23 individual competencies. Our target is to build our citizens' digital fluency on device and software operation, and information and data literacy, content creation, collaboration and communication, safety, and problem solving. So these competency areas are key for you to use digital literacy or digital services safely and responsibly. And the framework was built based on the Digicom framework, which is an EU digital literacy framework, and the UNESCO digital literacy framework. So we use these 2 frameworks and crafted our own national digital literacy framework based on our need as a country. Then we have an implementation strategy for the framework, which we call a digital literacy for all. The target is achieving 95% digital literacy level by 2030. Then we have a mid-term target of achieving 70% by 2027. So we are implementing this initiative in 3 buckets. We've done the assessment to know where we are, to establish the baseline. The only available report we were able to use to establish that was a report from the World Bank, Data for Better Lives 2021. Based on that report, Nigerian digital literacy level was 44% as of 2021. So we've looked at what has been done between 2021 to 2024 and government intervention, and we extrapolated that. We've added about 6 points. Therefore, as of 2024, our baseline was 50%. Then to achieve 70%, at least we need to train 50 million Nigerians to achieve that. Therefore, we have the initiatives in 3 buckets. The first one is our informal sector, which is the most exclusive in terms of digital literacy. And they are the one that also suffer the most when it comes to cybersecurity breaches. So to achieve that, we came up with a participatory and collaborative framework, which we work with the NYSC. It's a program, it's a scheme in Nigeria whereby every graduate do a 1-year service. The NYSC has 6 batches, 6 streams in a year and 3 batches. So it runs across 36 states, 774 local governments in Nigeria. So we design an initiative whereby we recruit 80 champions in every stream. So if you take in a state, you have 80 times 6 streams, which will give you 460 champions in a year. When you multiply 460 times 37, you get 17,760 champions in a year. And we have a target for each champion to train 2 Nigerians on a basic digital literacy, which will give you at the end of month, our average is for every champion to train 60 Nigerians on a basic digital literacy. And in a year, we have an average target of 600. When you multiply 17,760 by 600, you get 10,600,000 plus in a year. So over 3 years period, we want at least to train 30 million Nigerians on a basic digital literacy. Those champions, they go to marketplaces to train market women, to train motor park workers, artisans. They go to our religious places and meet our senior citizens to train them on basic digital literacy. Then we also have the formal sector, the formal education, where we worked with the Ministry of Education. We've developed the content for digital literacy and curriculum for primary and secondary school, which has been approved by the Council of Education. Now the next stage is to train our teachers on how to start teaching digital literacy in our formal education. For universities, we have done a pilot with Nasarawa State University in collaboration with Cisco. Cisco built content for us based on the NDLF, and the content has been put online where students can take those courses. They get Cisco certification as well as earn credit units for their degree program. So this has become a general studies in the Nasarawa State University, and we are working with the NUC, the Nigerian University Commission, to mainstream this. to make digital skills and literacy a general studies in all our universities, so that students will learn the same way we take mathematics and English. Then we are also working with NCCE and MBTE to also make it a general studies in our College of Educations as well as polytechnics. Then the last one is about workforce readiness. That one we are targeting, okay, for the formal sector, if we embed digital skills and literacy into our formal education, our target is to train 15 million students by 2027. Then for the workforce readiness, we've already worked with the head of civil service and made digital skills as a mandatory requirement for anybody to join the service. And if you are already in the service, today is a requirement for you to get promotion. And we're also working with them to train all public servants. We also use the same Cisco Net Acad. And we are also partnering with other big techs and multinationals to achieve that. Then these are challenges. Because of the time, I will just skip them. This is the pilot for the informal sector. So far, we've trained more than 200,000 Nigerians. We started the pilot last year, November, in 12 states, and this month we are scaling up to 36 states plus FCT. That's 37 states. Then these are challenges in the formal sector, and we have challenges also for the workforce readiness. Then we are also, as part of the implementation, we've developed a participatory framework where we have all stakeholders, including big techs, development partners, and other government agencies. So we've developed, we established the technical working group to help us achieve that and also help in data collection, because we have many organizations doing a lot, but in silos. Nobody is keeping record. Like we have our sister agency, NCC, they have about 9 initiatives they are doing around digital literacy and skills. Then we have other partners like the ministry is driving the 3 million tech talent. And we have other partners who have trained more than 12 million Nigerians on this. So thank you.
Thank you very much, DG Nitda. We will also take it that we wanted you to respond to policy question 1, but I think you have given us an extensive presentation that has actually given us the answers that we require, because we wanted to know how can Nigeria's digital literacy for all model serve as a blueprint for other nations in structuring cost-effective digital literacy initiatives that reach underserved informal populations. And I think what you have done here, you have spoken about a national agenda, a global alignment, right policy making, proper implementation strategies, collaborative engagement with other agency, robust research, the advantage of a youthful population that you believe that Africa should take advantage of to grow its digital transformation journey, participatory and collaboratory framework, including the youths in your policy making and in driving the programs, and revamping the curriculum of formal education by embedding digital literacy, working with the Ministry of Education and its subsidiary agencies, and also working with the head of the Public Service Commission to ensure that every public servant is digitally literate. Thank you very much, sir. On that note, I'd like to move to policy question 2, and Ms. Judith Hellerstein is sitting to my right, is the founder and CEO of Hellerstein and Associates. She has over 30 years of experience in developing policies, regulations, building regulatory capacity, strategy development, broadband build-out, digital government assessment, regulatory reform, competition law, and on internet governance issues. She will be giving us insights because she has worked with various governments and regulatory agencies and has also been a policymaker in the United States. She'll be giving us insights and responding to some of these, some of the steps that Nigeria has taken, and probably giving us insights on other possibilities that we could look at as a country. Thank you. Ms. Judith, you have the floor.
Thanks so much, and thanks so much to my dear friend Mary Uduma, who invited me to the panel. So I was given the task to talk about the different policy and regulatory frameworks, as well as international collaborations to manage to ensure affordable and inclusive digital access. So when we first look at the land stream, we need to look at, first of all, are the correct policy frameworks in place? Not only looking at whether there's a UAS policy, a broadband policy, but we need to look broader. We need to look at, especially as, while with the onset of everyone think digital, we need to be working collaboratively within the region and with others, because on cybersecurity policy and cybercrime issues, because we are all one nation. We don't want Nigeria to be known as the king of spam. We want Nigeria to be known as for all those 5 pillars that they were talking about and all the work you've been doing on affordable access. So we need to looking at the most important policy is on meaningful connectivity. And by that, we mean not only is access affordable, but it's also what percentage of the population have smart devices and can actually do their work independently. And with that, I love the discussion of the pillars, because you're breaking it down between gender, persons with disabilities, and other areas, so we could track. Many of the problems we find in countries is that while they may have a policy, there's no enforcement because they don't have the metrics behind it. So when you're thinking of if you're looking at a broadband plan and how you're going to do about it, you should not just focus on the plan aspect. You should focus on how it could be a strategic framework to tie in all those pillars together, and then how the objectives could be built in so that you can have metrics to track how well you're doing, so that you could steer the country a different way if the metrics are not coming out correctly. But to do that, you need to have the data. And so you have to work with other agencies within the country to get the data to match your objectives. And with that, much of this data is often tracked, like they track how many cell phones and how many other ones, but they don't necessarily break down. And we need to break down how many have gone, how many programs are looking at small businesses, how is the onset of small business, smart devices in there. What are they? We need to be tracking all those different things to show how well we're doing achieving our goals. And within all these, you can be, when I talk about integrated framework, it is not just a connectivity policy. We need to track the affordability. We need to track digital government. We need to track all those different items, digital economy, that make up the digital economy, and that we all work together. So some of the frameworks that you may be looking at, besides the cybersecurity ones that you have and the cybercrime, but also a Dig Once policy. So basically, those are very important, because every time there's roads are being built in the rural areas or in other areas, we need to lay down fiber. So we need a coordinated effort within all the areas, rural provinces and other local governments in Nigeria, that when the roads are being put out for like building a road or putting electricity, fiber is put down. We need, as we're doing much of the digital government, digital transformation relies upon sharing of data. And while you have a Digital Protection Act, do we have data sharing with each agency, and also work with agencies to overcome the cultural issues. You may have a perfect plan on paper, but if it's not being implemented correctly, if other agencies are not tracking this information, they say, oh, well, we are doing it differently. We've always been doing it this way, and it's a better way. Well, we need everyone to be working together, because until we have a collaborative effort, we're not going to have an easy wheel in doing it. Other policies, consumer protections. When we had different protections for consumers when we were in a non-broadband world, but a non-digital world. But the problem is many of these same laws that protect the consumers are not brought into the digital era. So besides misinformation and disinformation, cyberbullying is a big problem in the schools. We have a lot of issues of child protection. We have a lot of issues of consumer protection, how consumers prevented against fraud and against misrepresentation. We also have how the children are protected, not just for online safety, but identity fraud, because children and teens are the most apt for identity fraud, and then they cannot become productive members of society later when they have been hacked and all the identity has been stolen. So they have to be sort of looked at and with that eye. So you have to look at so many different areas. Lastly, I want to touch on the regulatory scheme. We need an open regulatory framework. We need to have licensing for open licensing. We need to not only, what we want to get, the goal is to get connectivity in all parts of the country. And to do that, we need to rely on different types of networks, not just mobile networks or fixed networks, but do we have an infrastructure? Do we have spectrum licensing so that community networks or social purpose licensing is out there? Because to reach smaller communities, we don't want to use the same pole. They may not need a mobile network or large mobile network, and they can't afford it. What we need is the community network or social purpose licensing. So the framework should be there so that smaller companies who want to service smaller regions can easily get licenses without a high cost or of no cost, so they can share, so they can cover these areas. And then as they grow, then we look at different licensing frameworks. So those are some of the things that we need to address. And I can be talking on this for a long time, but I'm just giving you certain frameworks that we do need to address on these issues.
Thank you so much, Judith. My take from your presentation, brother, it should not just be policy making, shouldn't stop at policy making. There should be collaboration to drive policy making, collaboration around across government agencies, data sharing, reviewing our existing laws to ensure that they cover the digital era, tracking of efforts to ensure that all stakeholders work together, and then, of course, robust cybersecurity engagements and implementation of cybersecurity policies and laws to protect Nigerians, as well as change its perception that would say that this is the spam capital of the world.
Right.
Yes.
And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the efforts of education in providing ICT training in the schools. We need to change the education curriculum. We need to focus on how do we teach digital literacy to kids. And it's not too late to start in elementary school, but we need to start in elementary, then build it up into the latter schools so that we create the background for these students to take later jobs. Because our engineers are coming from Nigeria. We need to build them up. We need the education to start early. Some people may not go to a traditional tertiary education. They may go to a trade school, they may go to other places, but we need to make sure that in all these academies, we're building up the digital skills that are necessary for the workforce.
Thank you very much, Judith. To take our next intervention would be Mr. Oluyomi Arowu Shafe, the Secretary, Universal Service Provision Fund. He has over 26 years of experience spanning oil and gas and telecommunications. Is seasoned project manager. He has spent the last 18 years serving in various capacities as a regulatory expert at the Nigerian Communications Commission, including universal service and access, licensing, project management, compliance, monitoring and enforcement, consumer affairs, and stakeholder management. He will be responding to the question on what strategies can policymakers adopt to bridge the gap between basic digital literacy and advanced technological skills development, ensuring workforce readiness for the digital economy. As earlier stated by the DG NITDA, there are digital literacy policies and interventions across most of the sectors within the communications industry. And one of the things that they have done in NITDA is to try to harness and try to collaborate amongst themselves. Mr. Oluyomi Arowu Shafe will be sharing insights with his experience at the Universal Service Provision Fund, as well as within the NCC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, distinguished Senator and the Honorable Chair Committee and the DG NITDA, distinguished guests and co-panelists. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm delighted to present on this issue. And just to go straight for want of time, and to bridge this digital, to bridge the gap between basic digital literacy and advanced technological skills, policymakers are enjoined to adopt a tiered approach that builds foundational skills through community-based programs. And we have something similar in the Universal Service Provision Fund, which we call for the computer laboratories, like the Digital Nigerian Center, the TIDC, and other computer laboratories. And these are like low-end to help develop and to upscale, and to it can now lead to a program that we have called Emerging Technology Center. So this kind of programs help to upskill and help for workers to develop their readiness for digital economy. Other areas that we can look at is to ensure inclusive access, focusing on rural access, women, people living with disability, and underserved youths. There should be concerted effort towards looking at policies that will encourage or ensure inclusiveness in these areas that I just mentioned, and at the same time to integrate digital skills into our formal educational system. Some of our educational system needs to now have these digital skills embedded in the system to encourage people, the students, to have some basic knowledge that will now improve and develop their skills towards their future engagement or interaction. And these two can help to align industry needs to promote apprenticeship and on-the-job training. In this area, if you have some basic knowledge, if you send somebody to some areas for apprenticeship, they have some understanding of some basic knowledge, and that will improve and help them for future engagement. And other areas that we can look at for policy makers to adopt to bridge this is to promote like lifelong learning and reskilling, support online learning platforms, we have quite a lot of them in the digital space, and probably to partner with tech companies to offer scalable training programs. These kind of training programs in any form can help to help the environment to develop into working the digital economy. And at the same time, we need to basically leverage on public-private partnership by collaborating with industry players like the private tech hub firms, startups, and academia to develop relevant curricula and embedding digital skills into formal education. And that will go at all levels, and that will go a long way to support the basic knowledge that is needed to develop the skills. And at the same time, continuous engagement and teacher training and access to digital tools will help create a pipeline of digitally competent citizens equipped for the demands of the evolving digital landscape. Then a offer of internship, job placement, and co-finance innovation hubs, hackathons, and boot camps. These are some kind of engagement that brings up the youthful population to help get them engaged and to improve help them in the readiness for digital economy. So policies, concerted policies should be put in place in these areas to support the digital economy in this area. So I think at this point I will just put this. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arov Shafe. On this note, I'd like to go to our next speaker. Just a minute, please. I'd like to go to our next speaker, Mr. Ponsilate Ileleji. He is a computer scientist with over 25 years experience. He has been involved with the use of ICT as a tool for sustainable development, both as the lead of Joko Labs Banjul in Gambia, and he's also on the board of Joko Labs Global Network. He has also served as consultant for several projects in Africa, covering areas such as ICT for D, digital learning, internet governance, and health informatics. Today, Mr. Ileleji would be giving his voice by telling us how national digital literacy initiatives can cost effectively be scaled up while maintaining quality and ensuring measurable impact. Mr. Ileleji, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Good morning, all. All protocols duly observed. If we look at all the presentations today, especially even the introductions from the Honorable Senator and the Honorable Member of House and the DG Director General, NITDA Director General, everything reflects on policy. And you have to move all these policy frameworks into implementation. But there's one thing the late Professor Kwasi said. He said, torture the data and it will confess to anything. Let us take the Nigerian scenario this way. 37 million Nigerians are on TikTok. That is about 15% of the population. In the whole of West Africa, you have about 41 million people on TikTok. So you can imagine out of that 41 million, 37 million are on TikTok in Nigeria, you know. And it just shows what is being done and how the average Nigerian appreciates digital literacy with all the policies being put in place. But to drive these policies being put in place, one of the core essence is professional teachers development. I believe that NIDA should have to have programs that will directly involve the School of Education and the TVET institutes. So modules should be developed for them, because at the end of the day, the disparities that exist between rural and urban Nigeria is so large that an average teacher in most parts of Nigeria, in rural Nigeria, might not have the right digital literacy skills to be able to compete on an equal level playing field with a teacher in maybe one of your big cities, Abuja, Lagos, Ibadan, and stuff like that. So it's very important NIDA has these grassroots initiatives that will be able to take those policies down to the grassroots, focusing on teachers. With all the policy frameworks you've learned from, UNESCO has a very good, UNESCO has the ICT competency framework for teachers based on open educational resources. And this is what that model can be used, because they are all open educational resources that NIDA can be able to use to put it on their platform. There will be a learning platform, and work with the Ministry of Education to be able to roll out edutech tools that will help teachers at the training level, at the School of Training, and also TVET education. We should also note that when we look at the overall what NIDA is doing in terms of working with various stakeholders in the country, you have by 2027, you want to get 70% of Nigerians to be digital literate. By 2030, you want to get up to 95%. It's when you look at all what you're trying to do, and you look at the African Union Digital Transformation Strategy 2020 to 2030, it falls into place. But that capacity building program has to start at the grassroots level, so that when you meet any Nigerian anywhere in any remote village, the person has those skills, and we need to use online tools to help them. When I mentioned at the beginning of quoting the data of the amount of Nigerians on TikTok, most of them are monetizing TikTok to create a job for them. So just imagine a NIDA having video content on digital literacy on TikTok. You already know that you get 37 million people following you and more. So we have to be able to use those social media platforms, which the youths of Nigeria really follow, to put educational content out there. We have to also work with already existing, because despite my computer science background, I'm still a traditionalist. I believe in the power of community radios. You go around the BBC, they have the BBC House Service, for example. You know, digital literacy programs can be rolled out through all these, whether it's BBC or even local community radio service, because everybody still likes to listen to a traditional radio. So these are things we can do to improve this setting. And the last word I will say is that most of our hardware are still imported. We have to also look at working with our tech communities to try to see how we can be manufacturing low-cost devices, so that the average person can be able to have those devices to access all these resources that will improve their lives in line with our digital transformation strategy of the African Union. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ileleji. He has asked us to move from policy to action, professional teacher development to reduce rural-urban divide, digital divide, adoption of the UNESCO ICT competency framework for teachers, proper alignment. He is happy to note that the Nigerian framework is properly aligned with the African Union framework, the use of social media to push digital literacy trainings as well, and then work with tech communities to promote the manufacture of locally made devices. At this point, we would invite a 2-minute intervention from Mr. Keja from the Ghana Internet Governance Forum. I don't know if there's someone from the Liberian Internet Governance Forum here. Oh, sorry. So we also have a speaker from the Liberian Internet Governance Forum. I think I'll take the Liberian Internet Governance Forum first, because he would be responding to how Nigeria's approach to digital literacy implementation inform global policy making on sustainable and inclusive digital transformation, particularly in emerging economies. Please, these interventions should be limited to 2 minutes each. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, and all protocols have. Thanks to the minister, the senator, and then the honorable, as well as the DG, for the brilliant presentation on Nigeria so far. And for one of the intervention I think I can present right now is the roadmap the DG presented. I feel it's a very comprehensive roadmap. We in terms of emerging economy, like Nigeria is already ahead of every country within the West Africa region in terms of digital literacy, in terms of issues of digital transformation. For what I see is a more way to ensure that these policies are domesticated beyond the normal big cities in Nigeria. We know of the bigger ones of Lagos and Abuja and the rest. We believe that a holistic approach to other cities outside the normal one is also key to this. And I think that to ensure digital literacy at a level where everyone is not just left behind, we need to also use the data, and data will help to see whether what is being targeted in terms of this roadmap as well is also key to be achieved. So not much to say. We from Liberia are always looking at what countries like Nigeria is doing, because we believe that it serves as a benchmark in terms of policy making. It serves as a benchmark in terms of what are the realistic things that can be achieved in due course. So this is my submission for now.
Thank you very much, Liberia IGF. We will now have the speaker from Ghana IGF, and he would particularly be looking at the youths in the digital literacy policy making arena. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fraternal greetings from Ghana. Many will ask why Ghana is on this platform to speak on Nigerian matters. I've always said we are cousins, and I was telling Engineer Salisu today, I'm from Katsina, and probably today I'll borrow his name. So call me Salisu. The people of Ghana, who are predominantly based in Greater Accra region, are believed to have migrated from Ile-Ife, from Oshun. So we are cousins, and these discussions are quite interrelated. Mr. Pons laid the foundation, but I'm here to talk about youth. How do we energize the youth to be part of this conversation? This conversation takes digital literacy takes different dimensions and shapes and different colors. How do we energize them in terms of even basic tools to get the start? Talking about affordability of the internet and also policy communication. They say in public administration, perception is always seen as obvious. Many youth perceive that, after all, I get into digital literacy, what next? Work readiness. The DJ laid a wonderful foundation, during the presentation. It captures very comprehensive, but the implementation, I envisage a West Africa where we are powerhouse when it comes to digital literacy, leading the force. We've seen the fintech companies in Nigeria, MoneyPoint, Kuda, Opay. Similarly, we could just bring our energies together. And I would like to quote also Chinua Achebe, who we all read during our formative years too. He said, God loves the ordinary people. That has created many of us. So let's pull our energies together so that we can just push all this digital literacy conversation forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keja from the Ghana IGF. We will open the floor for another 5 minutes, both to online participants and our audience in the room. each intervention. We're going to take 2 from the room, and if there's anyone online, and that's fine. But please, this has to be limited to 2 minutes each, not above 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. My name is Abdul Karim Oloyede. I'm a professor of wireless telecommunications from University of Ilorin in Nigeria. And my contribution is in terms of education. A lot of times I believe that the country is doing a lot when it comes to trying to educate the population. But we also need to look at it from the other side. Coming from the university, I've seen that a lot of youth these days do not really believe in education. One thing they believe in is the fact that there is always a fast lane. And when the speaker was talking, was mentioning about putting some of these educational materials on TikTok. TikTok has the ability to just swipe and just continue swiping. By the time you see that the content is not the social, the dancing, the money-making thing. They just flick through. I want to give a quick example. We had a lecturer that had no certificate, and he was teaching in the university, and he was discovered. And when we invited the student said, yes, we like this man so much. And we asked them, why did you like him so much? They said he would come to the class. 15 minutes he would teach them. The remaining 1 hour, 45 minutes, he will be teaching them how to make money and things like that. And they pass his exams. And that's why they love him so much. So we need to take a look at these things from the other side to make sure that we encourage youth to have this ability to learn or to have that zeal to learn, not just about money making. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Your Excellencies, the Senate Committee Chair and House Committee Chair on ICT, and the DG NIDA. My name is Ebenezer Dari, an executive member of the Board of Directors from the Nigerian Internet Registration Association. I was expecting to see how the NIDA digital framework plans to collaborate with the domain name sector on in promoting the digital literacy for Nigerians across all the sector mentioned by the DG. So I know there's a conversation going on with the CAC now on how to make sure that every organization, every business is registered as a .ng domain name. But we want it to become a reality beyond just the regular conversation. And also enforcing existing organizations doing businesses with the government to make sure that they are on .ng to promote the digital literacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that intervention. We will go online now, please.
Hello, testing. Okay, all right, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. So the online has been buzzing ever since we started this session, and as a matter of fact, there are a lot of comments and questions. So first, I will quickly go through the comments for our panelists to listen to and probably maybe react to them. And of course, I'll go through the questions. Then after that, we'll give the floor to somebody from online to, to hear himself or herself, depending on how much time we have, probably one person or two persons.
Mr. Moderator.
So, all right, thank you.
Mr. Moderator, sorry.
Yes.
We have only 9 minutes, so for online, I think we'll take only 3 minutes.
Okay, all right. So let me quickly go through the comments.
Thank you.
Gbemisola, who is a fellow of the Nigerian School on Internet Governance, made mention of the fact that there is need for us to ensure enforcement while we are implementing, and she also talked about multi-stakeholders approach. Then Akimbo, who doubles as the Vice President of Internet Society, that's the Chief Executive of DNS Africa. He noted that the efforts should be collaborative. Then Tino Ade, who is also a fellow of Nigerian School on Internet Governance, said this. I want to quote her verbatim because this is quite catchy. What gets measured is what gets done. Tracking performance metrics, moving from policy on paper to enforcement. That's what she said. Then there are questions. The first question is from Mr. Kibaya, and I hope our panelists will be able to do justice to that. Let me read the question verbatim. Thank you, to all the panelists for your insight. I'd like to suggest an approach and hear your thoughts. What about introducing digital literacy right from kindergarten? Interesting. In my experience, young children tend to pick up digital skills more quickly and naturally than senior citizens. On the other hand, introducing digital skills to senior citizens often requires more resources, patience, and time, partly due to existing life challenges that affect their focus and learning. Wouldn't focus on children early give us a more sustainable long-term impact while we still find ways to support older generation? Please note that. Then the second question is this, from Martha. What strategy can be employed to effectively engage people in unstructured settings, such as the market women, out-of-school youth, street vendors, among others, and improve their digital literacy? And the last question posted online is this. Infrastructure sorted, literacy education achieved. How do we plan to close divide of device gap, especially because of cost of ownership? Plus, we don't produce most of these devices. What can be done? So I'm quoting verbatim because I just copied the question the way they are. I don't want to add my own words. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Eleleje and the speaker from Ghana IGF.
Okay. The first, I want to respond to the professor that spoke from, I think, University of Ilorin. One thing I would like to say is that majority of the content produced on TikTok, forget content that relates to entertainment or culture, most of them are educational. And you have a lot of young Nigerians that have created different contents, and this is evidence-based, from business coaching to learning mathematics, to even, there's a Nigerian I met some years ago in Hong Kong that teaches foreigners who come to China how to speak Chinese, with over 1 million followers, just learning Chinese, subscribed. And the conventional wisdom to say today education has evolved, being a son of a mathematician and knowing how education has evolved, whereby even big tech companies are not looking at first degrees necessary. It's more about skill sets, and that is what NIDDA is trying to do, giving competencies in digital literacy that will have a ripple effect. My last thing I will say on this, during the COVID period in the Gambia, we trained, my innovation hub, we trained market women how to use social media to sell their items. People who were selling fish have stopped selling fish conventionally. All they do, they just use even WhatsApp messages to market their products, and they are doing very well. So we have to get out of that notion that it's only the academically inclined that can be successful. Most of the most successful people today in most parts of Africa are from the informal sector. And with digital skills, you will up their game. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Eleleje. Very quickly, just in 30 seconds, Judith?
Yes, and I wanted to answer some of the questions that were posed by our online viewers. As I mentioned in the presentation, it's for the affordable devices are extremely important. A lot of the work can be done with the UAS fund in having that support subsidies for affordable devices, but also working with other communities in nonprofit and others to give affordable devices or affordable computers or other things, doing subsidy programs, because that is where you can do it. But unless you have these subsidy programs need to be backed up by data. If you could show what the impact of giving away these subsidies and devices to people, we can then see how it led to affordability and how it led to that, and then these can continue.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Judith. I don't know, we have just 3 minutes to close. And I think we should actually be summarizing what we have heard today, and I'm going to do that in less than a minute. Before I do that, I'd like to recognize the presence of Honorable Shola Oye from the Nigerian House of Representatives. With that, I'd like to just state that we've had a very robust conversation. Unfortunately, time did not allow us to engage a lot more, which we think would have been the best thing to do. If we continue to talk about digital literacy, we're not going to leave here, because I know that is a burning issue for Africans, and particularly in Nigeria, seeing that a lot of agencies are involved in digital literacy programs. To this end, I would say that the panelists, as well as the audience and the online interventions, have come from a position of speaking on policy making, policy implementation, robust policy implementation, research, carrying the youths along, ensuring local content through making affordable devices available, and then collaboration amongst agencies and with the different collaboration amongst agencies, as well as collaboration with the different populations of demographics of our population, the women, the people living with disabilities, and all others. Okay, would like to also would like to recognize the presence of distinguished Senator Dicket Plank and also Honorable Shino Oyedeji. Thank you very much, sirs, for joining us today. On that note, I'd like to call it a day, and I'd like to say thank you very much to all our panelists.